Welcome back, hackers. Since our last episode of Hackerspace, we've successfully launched a top 4, soon to be a top 3 all-time NFT project on the popular and highly trafficked website, RELIX.com. Thank you all for the support. The wars have yet to begin, and this is one of the many topics of today's video. Check the timestamps below to hop around as you desire. We hope to cover the following topics: rarity charts versus ranks versus descriptive language, providing clarity to the confusion surrounding the tiers and number ranks of our cards, thanks to Bitister's increasingly useful website, www.LiddleBit.com, link in bio. We'll also go through the website and the rarity sheet simultaneously to identify why the cards rank the way they do. And as early as Monday, we will announce that we are accepting player entries. The entire process will be explained in this video. On the topic of cards, we think that once our system is embraced, if only for the collection of our cards, the users could have an interesting and fun time hunting every aspect that makes up a RELIX hacker. RELIX NFT has designed its cards to rank based on the combination of assets and the consideration of their occurrence. Occurrence being how many times it occurs throughout the entire collection. Assets being the following: weapon, mask, relic, background, hacker tool, clothing, skin, eyes, body mod. All of these separate layers have their own hidden rarity, as seen on our leaked charts. They accumulate to equal a rank. Here's where the confusion is coming in. When designing the cards from the very beginning, as represented by our names, RELIX has put an emphasis on the hunting of relics. The relics are a powerful feature on the card which gives the hackers part of their uniqueness. The card's color-coded system is represented by this terminology: common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, and exotic, seen as black, green, red, pink, purple, and gold. This terminology is present for every asset, but is only obviously visually stated for the relics. So when you see a card that says legendary or rare, it doesn't mean that the card itself is legendary or rare. It means that the relic you're hunting or have hunted is legendary or rare. Once again, any textual description of any card you see does not represent the card as a whole, only the relic, as the card as a whole is ranked by number and not by terminology. As previously stated, this is done to help hackers identify the relic they are hunting, not the card as a whole. Additionally, the ranks of the card doesn't always result in a predictable power set. Observe the stats on the slab to identify power. The rank, again, is present to recognize the rarity of the combined assets on the card based on occurrence, including assets that are powerless. We think one of the exciting things about the card is that you can hunt or mint cards based on multiple aspects: aesthetic for profile pictures, occurrence for rarity, and power. There is a correlation between these 3 aspects, but it is not definitive. The best way to break this down is to show you in real time. The number ranking on your card, as seen on LiddleBit.com, is determined by the rarity or occurrence of each and every asset that makes up your card. This is why some of you may have a legendary exotic, as represented by the terminology and colors used to help hackers identify the relics only, but the card overall is ranked lower than, let's say, a rare card. In this example, the card described as rare outpaces the legendary one because the rare card, only rare in terms of its relic acquisition, makes up greatly in other areas such as its weapon or other hidden rarities. This system may be a little confusing and frustrating for the users at first, but think about any game you've ever played. When jumping into a game which is based around loot, the user is bad and inexperienced because they have no clue what they're looking for. By reading, studying, and experiencing the game, watching videos and guides, users slowly get over the learning curve and they discover what is good and what isn't. This is rewarding to those who put in the time to learn versus those who want to just dabble. In other words, holders versus dumpers. RELIX's system rewards fans and dedicated users for the time they put in. You will likely win the war and secure more rare and exclusive cards because you've gone through the efforts of learning the system and adjusting as needed. Another similarity is items in games versus items in RELIX. Have you ever noticed that a low-ranked weapon in some games look exactly the same as a high-rated weapons, just with a different rank and a few new effects? RELIX does not replicate this completely, but there are a few instances where something a bit more rare will drop more often than expected to help with the difference between weak and strong cards. This was done so that users who aren't financially fit to mint multiple cards can mint just one card and have a decent chance at being meaningful in faction wars. There are other concerns about the power of high-ranked cards. Let it be known that high rank does not always equal high power, not in every instance. As mentioned, the number ranking system is based on occurrences, rarity, and whereas most high ranking items have very good stats, some high rank items have no stats whatsoever. So if you have a high ranking card with mid power, it is because you have an exclusive visual asset, not power asset. Meta. RELIX has the liberty of adjusting the meta of faction wars as many games do. We're sure you've experienced a weapon in a shooter game moving in and out of meta as the developers nerf and buff them. RELIX can do the same. If you mint a card with a high rank visual asset but no power, considering its rarity, we could attach a buff to that powerless asset. It could apply to any asset. So if you have a card that has a rare occurrence of a visual asset and you think that the power is low, the rare assets are still worth having. If not only for collecting and saying that you're an owner of a more rare asset, but also considering that we could add a 10+ buff to that powerless asset regardless of it previously having no use other than being rare. As an example, we could say that all Curator Club jackets for this particular war gets a +5 attack bonus, despite clothing as of now having no power built in. We will always announce the meta before the entries to the war even starts. Alright guys, this is a live moment. I'm looking at LiddleBit.com and I want to go through the rankings to show you guys the difference between a high rank card, a mid rank card, a low rank card, and what the discrepancy is between the power and the ranking and the confusion behind how these things are kind of categorized by, like, let's say rarity, exotic, rare, etc. So I discussed this in the actual scripted part, so hopefully that clarified a lot, but it might be great just to show you a couple examples. So our top 9 are obviously the legends. We've set those at the top 9 because they're the legends. We organized the legends by power to kind of identify which legends were most powerful. But, that's the legends. They're a different category than just randomly generated hackers. They're custom made. All right. So now we have what essentially is, number 10 hacker, but the top of the cream of the crop when it comes to the randomly generated hackers. All right. So as explained before, the reason why these hackers are sorted the way they are, ranked the way they are, is because despite what you see on the screen where it says exotic, rare, legendary, etc., what makes up a hacker, all of the assets that make up the hacker is what makes up the rank of the hacker, right? And so I'm going to go through this, what is probably one of the most highest ranked hackers, and show you why this is so highly ranked and how this works. All right. If anything else, just take it at face value. This is just how it works. This is just how the ranking system works. But I'm going to break down also why this works the way it does. All right. So what we have here is this is number 511. He's the 10th most ranked hacker. All right. Let's look at a couple aspects here. And if you're interested in anything like about the gaming and the stats and all that, we're going to go over that soon. But right now, we just want to focus on a couple examples of why the ranks are the way they are. All right. Just a brief rundown real quick. So each asset has its own rarity. It's the same as what you see on the screen with the, I guess you would just say written rarities, the one that are displayed rarities where it says rare, exotic, etc. The relics are the main drawing point for our NFTs, our cards, right? Our whole slogan has been the entire time, hunt relics. So we designed the cards with that in mind, that people are going to want to hunt the relics, exotic relics, whatever. You're going to hunt what you want. All right. We're not going to go into the power of the relics because that's going to be discussed later. But in this instance, you see that we have a rare relic. All right. You can see that because it's displayed on the website through text, and it's also displayed by color. Red is rare. Now, what's confusing people is that it says rare, but the card itself isn't rare. The card is more close to an exotic card. Simply put, however often something occurs, whether it occurs one time or it occurs 919 times, that scale, that spectrum determines the rarity of each item. And that's relative to each item's own pool of options, right? So if you have only like 3 different types of hacker tools, for example, a very rare hacker tool out of 3 hacker tools would be weighed differently than, let's say you have 50 hacker tools, and a very rare hacker tool is much more rare amongst more options if it's a lower occurring item. Each aspect of this card has a different pool that it draws from, a different quantity of pools that it draws from. On top of that, they each have their own rarity. So if one thing is more rare than the other, the system we have in place calculates how rare it is. And it does that for every asset. And if your card happens to have a rare card, with every asset being the more rare, then you're going to have a higher ranked card. The thing about that is that body mods, clothing, skin, these things don't give you power. So if you have an extremely rare eyes, which is what the case is for this card, or an extremely rare skin, which is the case for other cards, or extremely rare body mod, extremely rare shirt, those aren't going to give you more power. Therefore, the more powerful card isn't always going to be the most rare card. It's based off of rarity and occurrences off of every asset. And the fact is that some assets don't have power assigned to them. Here at RELIX, we have the option to make rare occurring visual items have some sort of buff to them depending on the meta we want to create. So let's say your shirt here, well, this is an uncommon shirt, but if you had a legendary shirt, your eyes, these eyes here happen to be the most exotic eyes. Your eyes give no power whatsoever, right? So your eye is an extremely rare item, but gives no power. If we want to decide that what is, I believe it's called the Radiance Eye. If we wanted to give the Radiance Eye plus 5 intel for the upcoming war, we can decide to do that. And if you have a Radiance Eye, all of a sudden your card is much more powerful, and that depends on the meta. So anyway, let me just break this card down so you can see what we're talking about. Yeah, let's start with the background, right? The card is green. I mean, the background, the green, and on the background, clearly it's a drawing of some sort of feline character. It is actually a panther. So I know that, of course, but you could probably guess that as well. So I'm going to go over to the rarity chart here. I'm going to look on the left for backgrounds. It says new background. We forgot to change that, but whatever. I'm going to find where it says green panther. It's obviously a green panther. Oh, look, it's an exotic asset. It only occurs 7 times out of the 919 cards. Only 7 cards have these. So it's an extremely rare item. Cool. Now we know the background's super rare. It's also 3 stars. That has to do with power. We'll describe that later. Let's go on. This mask. Oh, what significance does this mask have? Let's see. Well, the mask had a flame on it, and the flame was green, so I'm gonna guess something green with the flame. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Green flame. Okay, so it occurs 9 times out of 919 cards. Only 9 cards have this mask, and it's a legendary card. Which, I mean, the rating here really just signifies what the occurrence is itself. It's pretty trivial, really, just when you break it down. Really, the numbers are the most important thing here. So if you just want to pay attention to numbers, you can. So it occurs 9 times, obviously is very rare. So the mask also is super rare. Wow, so I have 2 extremely rare assets on my card already. I can see that his eyes are they're black and have a red dot in the middle. I don't know what that means. I don't know the name of that. Let me see if I can figure it out. And of course, if you have any questions, you can hit us up. Obviously not blue eyes, obviously not brown eyes. Obviously not frost, obviously not green, obviously not hazel, not light blue, not light hazel, not pink. Radiance eyes, I don't know what radiance means, but let's keep it on. Red eyes, I guess it could be red eyes, right? But I mean, my card's a pretty high rank card. I don't think it would have just such a low tier eye, maybe, I don't know. Terminator. So I could see how you could probably be a little confused at this. You would probably think these 3 could be those things. All right, let me just hit up the guys on RELIX and ask them, hey, I have these eyes. What are they? We would say, oh, that's the Radiance Eyes. Great. So my Radiance Eyes occurs 3 times out of 919. Only 3 cards have these eyes. Extremely exotic. The most exotic eyes you can have, I believe. Well, that's it. I have 2 exotics, 1 legendary, extremely rare. The skin is the ghost skin. Let's look up skins. I know any human skin is pretty much a pretty common occurring skin. So let's see, blah, blah. Ghost skin, common, 61 times out of 919. That's pretty normal since we have so many. This is another example. We have so many skin options. If you have a common card and it occurs 61 times, which may seem low, there's so many skins that it actually isn't that low because there are other skins that occur just as often. So it is, in this case, pretty common. And of course, you have this sheet to your exposure, so you can figure this out for yourself. Cool. My skin's pretty normal skin, not bad. I have an earring in. It looks like it's a hoop earring. It's gold earring. It's a gold. Let's see what that is. all of those are body mods. Tattoos, earrings, everything else, all body mods. It's pretty obvious, I would say. Look, gold hoop. There we go. Common. Okay, got another common asset. Occurs 84 times. The hair is brown. I can't really, discern what that is. Let me hit up the RELIX Hackers and ask what hair this is. They tell me that it is the mullet. I believe it is the brown mullet. So we have the brown mullet here, uncommon. No, it's above common. That, like, the fact that it's uncommon already adds more to it, but it's above common, so not bad, not bad. Clothing, already know this is an uncommon clothing, but let's just go through it anyway, just so you guys can see how this works. Clothing that was purple, and he had a red bag. Let's see. The red crossbody bag, the purple. All right, cool. So that's pretty self-explanatory, I think. It is uncommon, occurs 47 times. Not very rare. Let's move on to my hacker tool. Hacker tool. So my hacker tool was green and it had a bunch of dots around it. Let's see what this means. Green, green, green. There's only one green in here and it's called pixie green. Oh wow, so this is called pixie green. This is the only green hacker tool. So I can assume that everything else that looks like this is going to be pixie. So for future reference, I know that that's the pixie category. So if I see a blue tool like that or a gray tool like that, then I know that it's the pixie blue or pixie gray. These are legendary. Wow, this is a super high ranked card. It occurs 61 times, whereas like something like a rare is 119, and uncommons can go up to 150. So this is actually a pretty nice pool right here. Let's go over to the relic itself. The relic, well, we know the relic is a rare card, but let's see how often it occurs. Hope I'm not too close to the mic, by the way. All right, we're at the relics. There are a lot of relics. Obviously, we wanted you to be able to hunt a lot of relics. All right, it's blue. There's 3 triangles. I'm gonna guess it's the blue tri-monolith. There's no other thing. It couldn't be the mastermind. It couldn't be a moth. It couldn't be a peanut. It couldn't be a Qbot. It's obviously the monolith. This is a rare card, so it's also up there in rarity, dropping at 40 out of all the options we have. All right, my weapon is gold. And another thing you can witness here is that there are 3 icons at the bottom. All right, the one on the left represents your hacker type. All right, in the current meta, this doesn't. In our first meta, setting this up just to have it go smoothly, these first 2 categories don't mean anything, but it does mean something. We've set it up to where it does mean something, but it's essentially deactivated for the first war, as we continue to develop the script and continue to flesh things out, right? So there's different numbers to all these icons, right? This one's black, so it's a black hat hacker. We have a gray one for great hat, and we have a white one for white hat. They each have different numbers, and they each, mean something different. And same for the races, which is attached to your skin. Different symbols for different races and different numbers for different races as well. And then next to that is clearly the weapon icon. This has like a shiny sparkle to it. It has a gold background. Gold correlates with exotic. Clearly this is an exotic weapon. So let's see. So this icon, by the way, works exactly the same as the slabs themselves, right? So this red means rare, obviously. So this gold, as you've seen on this slab here, also means exotic in this instance. All right, so we're going to weapon. Casual little breakdown here. We go into weapon. We're looking for the axe. That is clearly an axe. We know it's exotic already based off the color of it. So we have the gold axe. Exotic, only occurs 20 times. So that is a pretty rare item. Not the most rare, but pretty rare. So, just considering all that, this person has hardly anything that's common. And it has some of the most powerful assets you can have. And in combination, and by powerful I also mean just rare, right? And so in combination, all together, all things considered, it is a better card than almost every other card, because in terms of occurrences, right? So things on here occur in a more rare manner and in appropriate weights than the next card does, which has, in this case, a relic that is extremely rare, right? So we're gonna kind of look at this one for a second. This one's ranked number 11. That is an egg. It is golden. Egg of Anubis, egg of Osiris. I'm not sure what those two words mean. I could Google that and see that Osiris was like I forget the exact definition, but he's more of a golden type of light god. Anubis is more of the antagonist of that. So it's a darker one. So, and you know, it's very clear to me, at least, that this is exotic. But of course, you can always ask us to clarify, and you can spread the word. All right. So egg of Osiris, pretty awesome stats here. Exotic only occurs 6 times out of all the cards. Only 6 of these. This is like the top 3, I think, most rare relic that is available in the random generation. All right, so this is why this is rated so high, because it has an extremely rare relic here, but that isn't the only thing that adds to it. If this had a 1-star background, if this had a basic skin, basic hair, basic everything, then wouldn't be ranked nearly as high. It's a bit repetitive at this point, but let's go through some of the assets here. So we have a background that is gold. It's a 2-star. See if we can figure it out. Gold, we're looking at gold here, so there are a couple golds here. This is not plain gold. It's an eclipse. Clearly it's an eclipse. So it's legendary. It occurs 21 times. All right, what do we have? What do we have here? Let's go with the weapons. They're like little knives or daggers. We know that it's rare because it has a red background here. You can see an example of different races and different hacker types at the bottom, on the bottom left. But let's see how often this occurs. The weapon. I'm looking through the weapons, and the only thing that makes sense for it to be is a dagger. And it was purple, so I'm going to guess purple dual daggers. Yeah, that's obviously it. It's a rare, 53. Oh, wow. That's pretty decent, right? My hacker tool. Oh, I looked at the number 10, and we figured out that it was the only green option in there, and it was a pixie green. This looks exactly like it, but blue, so I'm going to guess this is pixie blue. By just deducing. Common sense, right? So I'm going up to hacker tool, looking for pixie blue. There it is. Legendary, nice. And it's even more rare occurring than the green one that we had in the first card. That's going to help it out a lot. Only 49 times out of 919. Sick. All right, let's check out this jacket. It's like a vest and a shirt. Let's see where that lends us. All right, we're going to clothing. We're looking for something with a vest. Oh, there's a blue bounty hunter vest. Is this the blue bounty hunter vest, or? Well, it's green, so I feel like I'm in it, like I'm teaching class. Well, it's green in a very sarcastic way. It's a bounty hunter vest, obviously, but it's green. So, oh, there's a green bounty hunter vest. Occurs 30 times, and it's rare. So this is likely it. And wow, that's a very rare occurrence. Cool. I think the last thing we're looking at is actually no, not the last thing. Sorry. Let's look at skin. What's my skin type? You can know your skin type just by observing it, but also by looking at the name. The names are attached to the skins. Okay, so I'm on skin. Well, I'm going to be on skin soon if I can find it. And the guy's name is Riley. Riley is a rare skin, occurs 31 times versus the common skins, which can occur upward of like 75 times or something like that. So, you know, skin's decently rare as well. The eyes, this would be a hard one to discern if it's like a red or if it is a Terminator. Terminator essentially is red, but it glows a little bit. This looks like it's just solid red. So, just for the heck of it, let's look at the eyes. Red. I almost thought it was exotic. No. Rare. So it happens 101 times. Cool. Body mod. I see a silver hoop, and I see there's wings on his neck. Let's see what that looks like. Body mod. Silver hoop, wings combo. That has to be it. Rare, 35. Nice. Hair is like a white, looks like a green hue to me. Let's see what the hair looks like. That looks like, well, what type of haircut is it, I wonder? Well, we know it's like either white or green. Let's see. Green, we have green buzz cut. That's not it. Green HT locks, not locks. Green mullet. It's clearly not a mullet. We already identified what a mullet was before. Green undercut. Oh, I think that's probably it. So we have 38. It occurs 38 times. It's a rare. Very nice. I think we've done all the assets. But anyway, you get the point, right? So the fact that this, you have a bunch of items that aren't common. They're all uncommon or above, or actually no, they're all rare and above. and a lot of them are legendary as well. So considering that, plus the fact that this guy has the third most rare exotic in the game, he skews towards much higher. And this is an example of where you can get really good bonuses out of this. Like this guy has 40 attack. Is that what that is? 40 attack plus the 15 attack from the faction, and the faction, of course, is set by the mask. So your mask, actually, we didn't even look at the mask, did we? But anyway, your mask is associated with, or rather, your faction is decided by your mask. Whatever mask you get decides your faction. Every faction has a very specific mask assigned to it. And then also your ability is assigned to your faction. So you get your mask, which gives you your defense, your base defense. It also gives you your faction, and your faction gives you your ability. And this ability, in this case, overpowered, is plus 15 attack obtained. So you have 55 attack here, plus the 9 that you get from the intel, because that adds up too. And obviously your relic gave you part of that. We're not supposed to go over this. This is actually part of the other part of this. So anyway, the point is, this is a good card. All right. This is a good time to move on to Faction Wars. If you're interested in Faction Wars, the way you participate is by messaging us on Discord and requesting entry. This process starts many days prior to the war, typically on a Monday, while the war will take place on a Saturday. Once you submit your username in faction with a backup faction in mind, we will process all users and announce a few days after how many participants we have, how many hackers you can enter per user into the war, and who has been moved from what faction, accounting for discrepancy between faction desire and availability. If factions do not fill completely, we will scale accordingly, and the use of what we call bot hackers, which are essentially unassigned cards to fill the gaps, randomly selected per faction. Once we announce these details, you will send in proof of ownership of your NFT, and then the NFT itself by screenshot. We will process all stats and set up the game. Again, this process will span from the beginning of the week up until the weekend. You will have from the announcement until the close of the card entry slot to theorycraft what cards you'd like to use. You will not lose your card to the war. You do not send your NFTs to an address. Your card is not destroyed upon loss. You will send a screenshot to your card to us in Discord. This war's meta is balance. All stats are weighted evenly, this giving balanced cards a better advantage. Keep in mind that background multipliers multiply your stats. Intel provides attack, and defense stops incoming damage. You may be tempted to join a faction that gives attack, but it might be better, depending on your cards, to submit a faction or a card with high intel and a multiplier background versus a card with high attack and no background and or low intel. Defense partially stops incoming damage and is often underrated. A well-balanced card will give you the best potential at winning the faction wars in its current meta. As stated at the very beginning of our inception and before our launch, our game is a strategic simulation. You collect cards to add to your virtual deck. You sort and submit them based on meta. The team at RELIX will sort your cards into factions, ensuring that the game is even and fair, and a simulation will be ran. Multiple battles will take place within one war. The faction that averages out with the most wins the war. Let's do an example of power at this point. We want to show what you're looking for when it comes to Alright, considering what we've gone through, you almost need no explanation for this, but we're going to do it anyway. I can tell you now that everything on this guy is common. There may be one uncommon. So technically his weapon is rated as uncommon, but the reason this is because this weapon here is meant to be uncommon in the overall generation. We had what were common weapons were hands, right? So you could spawn with no weapon here, and you would just have your hand. You could also, in our first generation, spawn with no hacker tool either, which would skew everything toward the lower end. First of all, the first thing I noticed is that, and maybe I'm biased, the card looks fucking sick regardless, right? It's the lowest ranked card, but it just looks super clean in my opinion, coming from the artist. But just so you guys can see the proof of it, he has a brown undercut. I'm gonna stop pretending like I don't know what I'm talking about now. I'm gonna give you the facts. Brown undercut, uncommon. Brown eyes, I believe those are common. Where's it at? Brown eyes, that's common. His skin is the Evie skin. Shout out to Evie. Evie skin, common. He has the plug in his ear, which is a body mod. The plug, where's it at? Silver plug, common. His mask is a blue 254 mask. Find the mask, find the mask. 254 blue. Here's blue 254, common. The relic is a purple relic. Well, we already know it's common because we have that identified on the front of the card, which is one of the benefits of a card. You know exactly what it's going to be. The purple background is common, but I'll show you just in case you want to see proof. La 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 la. Oh, I passed it. Purple, common. His shirt is I think it's the brown, like base shirt. Clothing item. Brown shirt, common. All right, his hacker tool is like black or gray. Hacker tool, gray, uncommon. So that's pretty good in his favor. And this is uncommon. I told you guys this before. You can tell because you're looking at the icon here, which is green. So that is uncommon. We went through every asset and he has nothing higher than uncommon. Not one item he has is higher than uncommon. Everything is either uncommon or lower, and he has way more common than he has uncommon. That's why he's ranked so low. But still, he looks pretty cool because we tried to design it to where even your crappy cards can look pretty okay. This card is ranked higher probably because, I mean, it's pretty comparable. I think his mask may be uncommon compared to the common mask he had before, right? So that's how it works. Now let's find a card in the middle, and you can kind of just see an example of a card in the middle, and then we can also discuss. We're transitioning over to how to calculate the power in the card. Right, I'm going to break down a card so you can see exactly what we're looking at as far as power goes. All right, so we've had questions also about how to properly add up, or how to account for, or how to identify if a hacker is like powerful or not. Things that don't give power: eyes don't give power, skin does not give power, your body mod, which is like your piercings, tattoos, does not give power, and your clothing does not give power, and your hair does not give power. What gives power? Your background gives power, your relic gives power, your weapon gives power, and your hacker tool gives power. In the future, though, we have the flexibility to where your icons here, your race icon and your hacker type icon will give you power, which is attached to your skin. The race is. The hacker type is just its own layer. And so we can honestly attach power to anything we want. We just have to announce it. And if you have it, we have it in our record books, and we can, give them out appropriately and fairly. So what you're looking at here is, I've gone through this before. I'll probably link as a response to this video or this tweet, a tweet that I made before where I kind of went over it roughly at first, but I'll go a little bit more into detail at this instance. You have a higher tier relic, right? It's a rare. Okay, you can see that because it's red and it's identified here on the website as rare, which is one of the benefits of hunting relics because you know where they are. So what relics give you is additional stats to your already existing stats. On the left here is your stats. On the right is the additional stats that your relics give, right? So in this case, it gives +5 attack, +1 defense, +1 intel. That's what your relic does for you, is gives you additional statistics. The more rare the relic, in almost every instance, most instances, the better the benefits. Relics within the same category give different benefits. So some will give a better, it could still be a rare relic. For example, let's say you had a copy of this, but it was a different variation. Maybe it would give you a different attack, but higher defense and higher intel. At the end of the day, it balances out. Anyway, that's how the relic works, right? And so then you have, what is your mask? Your mask is going to give you your defense. In this case, it give you 1 defense. It's also going to give you your faction, which is government hacker. And attached to your faction, which is attached to your mask, is your ability. Your ability in this case, for all government hackers, the ability is all the same. You get overpowered, so you get +15 attack. So your 15 attack is now a 30 attack. Great. All right. And so then your weapon itself. Weapons give you base stats only, and that scales with rarity in almost every instance. So the more rare your weapon, the better your power is going to be. Typically, all weapons within the same category are going to have the same power, and they're going to scale the power increasing with rarity. And then you have a hacker tool here. This hacker tool gives you intel always. And this one is, as you've seen, say it with me, a pixie setup. So this is gray. It's a gray color and it's pixie, so it's pixie gray. This is a legendary, so it's going to give you a higher intel. So obviously 4 is pretty high, considering that intel is weighted differently than the rest because of the way we have the script set up and the way the game is balanced. Okay, so now you have all your aspects. You have your relic giving you additional bonuses. You have your weapon giving you attack. You have your mask giving you defense, plus your government identifier, which gives you your ability for your government, which adds on to your attack in this case. And then you have your hacker tool, which is giving you a +4 intel. Before you add all those things up to kind of come to the conclusion of what your attack roughly is, take notice of these 2 stars, quote unquote stars. They're the RELIX logo, but 2 stars. And what this means: you have 1 star, you have 2 star, you have 3 star. These are the options you have for backgrounds. All right. If you're looking for power, you're going to want to get a 2 star or higher background, because the stars are a multiplier. And it multiplies by how many stars you have. If you have a 1 star background, you multiply by 1. Obviously, you're not going to gain any power because you can't multiply by 1 and gain anything. So all of your stuff, not your bonuses, but your overall stats, your intel, defense, and attack is going to multiply by the multiplier. Actually, I'm gonna have my the stats and game developer clarify even more in Discord. But what happens is your stats multiplies by this, and then they add up, or they add up and then they multiply. Either way, it's gonna come out the same. It's gonna multiply and add up. But it would be interesting actually if it only multiplied the base stats and then you added these up to it and those didn't get multiplied. But I'm pretty sure it's everything together. Like this would be 30 attack times 2. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna have my developer drop it in Discord for further information, and I'll come back to you guys. This will probably be 2 times 2, and this will be 5 times 2. All right, I think that we've gone over as much as we need to. If you have any more questions, let me know. Hopefully this clarifies why these things are labeled common, uncommon, epic, legendary, exotic, rare. Is because the relics themselves are those ratings, and that is not the overall card rating. The overall card rating is based on all the stats. As you can see all the traits, and you can see all those broken down as far as occurrences goes, which is rarity, on the sheet. But just because your card is extremely rare doesn't mean it's extremely strong, because there are at least 4 different traits that don't give power, but they are extremely rare, which will be clothing, skin, hair, and eyes, and also body mods, which is 5. So if you have any more questions, DM us on Twitter at RELIX Hackers.